Is the high cost of electricity attributable alone to NGCP?
Not alone, Mr. Chair.
Not alone. Thank you, because there are a lot of things and factors that must be considered. Is it correct to assume that there was an ERC resolution some time ago where you set the return on equity for distribution at 13.65%?
Mr. Chair, I do not recall that particular, because there's a different percentage governing the distribution utilities po.
Suppose I show to you that particular resolution before this day ends, na 13.65%. What will be the penalty that you should owe this committee? Meron po eh. Huwag po nyo sabihin hindi. You set, nasa resolution po ninyo eh. 13.65%.
I'm trying to recall, Mr. Chair, because if you can share the year,
Namaya
then
po kasi
maybe we can
kukunin ko
trace
po dun sa aking notebook eh, nandun
Apa.
eh. But I
Kasi
assure
po-
you there is one.
Sige po.
The reason why I'm asking this, because yung 13.65% hindi natutupad because you are not even examining the financials of Meralco. Pag tinignan po nyo, yung return on equity is already more than 23%. Yun po yung pinagmumulan ang taas ng kuryente ngayon. Because you might be barking on a wrong tree. My friend Melvin Matibag, when you made this an statement earlier, what office did you represent?
I said I'm the former president. I'm now one of the consumers, and
No,
I'm
but you
representing the Filipino.
made a statement earlier.
I was asked by the committee to make a statement regarding
Yes.
my experience as the previous president of the National Transmission Corporation,
So you were with Transco at the time.
2017 until 2022.
Yes, that's
In
why
fact,
you were able.
just to be honest, most of the documents being plus here
Kaya nga,
was
the reason why you
provided
were
by the
able
chair.
to make a statement because you were with Transco at the time.
That's correct,
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
And you said that you have not had the opportunity of inspecting the facilities NGCP. Did I hear you right?
That's correct, and it's even supported by a letter coming from NGC.
Never, not once.
When I was new, they invited me to view all the screens, but not the facilities. And in fact, as I was saying, there is a letter dated
Up
August
to what
28,
extent were you allowed to visit?
only in the monitor room.
The what?
The monitor room, the monitoring room, then they said how the electricity flow. I've never seen the equipment, the narrating and everything, just the screens.
NGCP, is that correct?
Mr. Chair, with all the respect to Mr. Matibag, he was allowed on the floor, the system operations floor in Quezon City, a place usually reserved only for dispatchers. Our guests are usually confined to a conference room beside it, but because Mr. Matibag and then Secretary Kusi were, of course, had a spot visit, we did allow them to come in without notice.
That's exactly what I'm saying with the monitors. Di ba yun? Sa Quezon City?
Mr. Matibag, that was for the system
Yeah, that's what I'm
operations,
saying,
not
with the
just the monitor, sir. That's the control center. That's where everything happens. That's why that's a very high secure area that I myself cannot enter without going through the security protocols, even though I am an employee of NGCP.
Okay, Mr. Chair, may I continue? I think that was settled. Kanina po, sinabi ko na parang pinagtitripan natin ng NGCP sapagkat ang pinagmumulan po ng cost natin sa ating electric bill, kung pag-uusapan ng NGCP po, transmission, is only 3%. Parang ayaw po nilang maniwala. Mr. Chair, ako po, religiously po na kinocompute ko po, alam ko yun eh. Alam ko po 3%, yung nagsasabi po ng 10%, nagsisinungaling yun kasi hindi niya alam yung ancillary services. Alam ko po yun 3% lang talaga. Madam ARC, may I continue with you, please? When you failed to provide regulatory reset for 2 regulatory periods, did it affect the operational cost of NGCP?
Mr. Chair. I don't think so, Mr. Chair, because they were still able to declare dividends during those periods.
That does not answer my question. They might have declared dividends, but I'm talking about operational cost. They might have absorbed the costs. Do you have an idea as to how much they lose? Or they lost?
Mr. Chair, they would have filed losses, but since they had unrestricted retained earnings, and from those unrestricted retained earnings were able to declare dividends, I would understand that they were able to cover their costs during that period where there was no reset.
So that is the kind of reasoning that you will give this committee. Kaya pala, kahit na mandatorily, kailangan kang gumawa ng regulatory reset. You are all taking your sweet time. Sapagkat alam ninyo, walang nawawala sa kanila. Is that your presumption, Madam?
With all due respect, Mr. Chair, I beg to differ. This
So
commission
you
has...
believe there is no cost on the part of NGCP?
No, there is cost, Mr.
That's
Chair,
why
of
I'm
course.
asking you, do you have an idea as to how much
They filed-
NGCP might have lost?
No,
Yun
they
lang
did
naman
not file for losses, Mr. Chair. They filed for...
I'm not asking you, ma'am, if they filed for losses.
I
I'm
thought that
asking
was
you
the
if you have an
question, Mr.
idea.
Chair.
If you have an idea, please say so. Kung wala, okay lang.
Wala po, kasi po ang final po nila ay increase in authorized revenue. or
NGCP, do you
allowable
agree?
Mr. Chair, with all due respect to Attorney Mona, what we filed for was correct, but that is because it represents an under-recovery on the part of NGCP.
How much was the amount of under-recovery?
For, I think, our 4th regulatory period, we claimed for, applied for an under-recovery of 200 billion pesos.
200 billion pesos.
Yes, sir, because as you already mentioned, the last regulatory period approved by the ERC was conducted in, regulatory approval was conducted in 2009 for the period ending 2015. So beginning 2016 up to this date, the revenue scheme that we have been working on is interim in nature and no longer reflects the required capital expenditure needed for the continued development of the transmission system.
What was your capex in 2014?
Around 48 billion.
You might want to review your records. I'm asking 2014, madam.
Let me go back, Mr. Chair, to my records.
Huwag kang ninenervyos, ma'am. Wala namang nagko-contempt dito eh. Wala na si Congressman Paduano. Si Dan Fernandez hindi mahilig sa contempt yan.
Do you have the may I be given a
O sige,
moment?
balikan na kita, ma'am,
Yes, sir.
mamaya. Sa IMAP po, sir, pwedeng tanongin ko kayo.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Your Honor, please.
Sa EPIRA po, sino talaga yung independent market operator?
IMO po, after the transition.
Hindi, PMC po eh, di ba?
Hindi po, it's IMO na after the transition. Nagsimula po kasi yun, nung magkaroon ng AGMO, PMC po.
ADMO nga po yun, pero
Opo.
PMC dati yun.
Opo, then nag-transition po to the IMO, which is now IMO.
And the transition happened
2018 po.
2018. Afterwards, you registered IMAP in the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Ay, hindi po. We are a non-profit, non-stock corporation po.
So ano po ang IMAP?
It's a non-stock, non-profit corporation, sir.
Ano nga po siya?
It's a corporate entity.
Wala po, hindi po ba na-transfer sa inyo yung assets ng, ng PEMCO, ng PMC?
Transfer po yung assets ng market operations.
Yun nga po, kung hindi kayo legal entity, na-transfer ang assets po, Medyo mahirap po yan tayo.
Legal entity,
Kasi
sir?
kayo po kasi kumukolekta ngayon ng market fees, tama?
Yes, sir. Opo. Under the
Karaniwan
IPIRA.
po, o noon, ang kumukolekta lang PEMSI. Ngayon, pati kayo kumukolekta na. Kaya doble-doble na po ang binabayaran po ng mga consumers.
Hindi po. Because the fees that were used to be collected by PEMC is now being collected by AMOP. So hindi po na doble, na-transfer lang po.
Hindi po ganun ang nasa record, sir.
Ay, hindi po yan po ang, yung po ang totoo po.
Hindi po, babalik naman po kayo rito. Then I will confront you with all this, the records.
Yes, sir. Opo.
Kailangan lang po, nagkakaintindihan tayo.
Yes, sir. Opo.
Ang sabi po ninyo, kaya kayo nandyan because kayo ang, ewan ko, non-profit. Pero, di ba ang inyo pong, katungkulan niya yung WSM?
Market operator po ng WSM. Opo.
Kayo po nga ang sa WSM. Bakit po nilagay ang WSM ng EPIRA? Ano po ang objective?
Because before the IPIRA, o before the WSM, di po ba lahat ng pagmimili ng
O nga po,
kuryente?
ba't po tayo nagkaroon ng WSM?
Sa akin pong pagkakaunawa, yung kaya po tayo nagkaroon ng WSM to allow flexibility in contracting para po may source ng kuryente kung walang kontrata and para maging balancing market po siya kung sakaling...
Makakatulong po sa pagpapababa ng ating elektrisidad.
Opo.
Pag binasa nyo po yung konteksto ng EPIRA.
Opo, sir.
Pero hindi po ganun na nangyayari. Meron po kayong pinakamataas, yung cap po ninyo is 32 pesos per kilowatt hour. Umaabot po tayo doon, tama o hindi?
Meron lang po mga intervals na gano'n, pero on the average po, hindi po tayo nagte-32
Oo nga, pero
pesos.
umaabot po tayo doon. Ang ibig ko sabihin, dapat hindi po tayo maabot ng gano'n sapagkat mas mataas pa po kayo ng doble sa Meralco. Hindi po yun ang rational ng... Kasi po ang pinag-uusapan natin ngayon, kung paano natin ipabababa ang presyo ng kuryente, titingnan po natin lahat.
Opo, sir. Yung 32 pesos po is the offer cap allowed by ERC in the meantime.
Pero,
Present.
ibig sabihin, hindi po dapat umabot doon. Kaya nga nandyan po kayo eh.
Yes, sir. Hindi naman
Sino
po...
po yung nag-o-audit ng WSM?
ERC po.
Tama po. Anong pangalan po ng auditor?
Yung iba-iba po yan eh. So yung pinakahuli po, Reyes Takandong po yung auditor po
Hindi
natin.
po, ang sinasabi ko, Mr. Representative from IMAP, di po ba magbebenta yung generation company? Tapos ililista nyo. Yung po, sino yung nag-o-audit nun? Paano nyo may babato ng ganitong presyo? Yung mga ganon.
Meron
Hindi
po,
po ba sinusunod nyo ay algorithm lang?
meron po tayong system, opo.
Yun po, the system of algorithm.
You may say that.
Yun po ang problema natin kung sinong nag-o-audit ng algorithm, Madam ERC. Dapat po tingnan ninyo ito sapagkat dito po sumisirit ang presyo ng electricity. Panay NGCP na lang po kasi tinitingnan natin. Nakakahalata na po kami. Transco. Madam, sabi po nyo kanina, hindi po kayo nakakapag-visit sa facilities ng NGCP na para bang itinatago sa inyo. Kayo naman ang may-ari. Hindi man lang kayo pinapayagang makarating doon. Sinabi po nyo kanina, di ba?
Mr. Chair, I believe I did not say that.
Ikaw naman yata kaibigan ang nagsabi? Ikaw naman.
Yes. In fact, there's a letter from NGCP. And let me read from the letter. NGC replied on a request to do audit and visit. They replied August 28. We reiterate our opposition to the performance asset and audit for lack of legal basis. Therefore, we regret to inform your office that NGCP cannot accede to the planned pilot audit. And let me answer, in relation to that, yung ginawa po namin at Atty. Mutya na pumunta ron, you very well know, that is only ceremonial. Dinala kami ron ng secretary para mag-picture taking. Yun lang po yun.
Thank you very much, Attorney. Was that, please proceed. You still have 1 minute, Honorable Marcoleta.
Bigyan mo
By
naman
1
ako
minute.
ng kahit 3 minutes lang, sir.
Opo.
Meron pong concession agreement, Mr. Chair, na nandun po, annually, pwede pong mag-inspection po kayo ng books and the facilities sa NGCP. Did you not see that, Madam?
We know of that provision, Mr. Chair.
You know that provision, but you did not take advantage of that provision. Nandun po yun eh. Hindi po pwedeng hindi sila pumayag.
Mr. Chair, as mentioned earlier po, we have the TR flat with PISAM, and part of the TR flat, or that's the transmission regulatory, yung TRFLA stand for several areas. So, we may portion po sa TR flat that on the books and records of NGCP. Now, we can, with proper notice, we can get access to the books and records to verify or visit the performance by NGCP of its mandates under the concession agreement. I'm just paraphrasing, pero that's how I'm recalling it now. So, we take advantage of the inspection of books and records. Kaya lang po along the way, merong areas na hindi kami nagkakasundo. Sa scope, may hindi lang po napapagkasundoan. And then also for certain aspects, meron din pong, so generally, meron pong navivisit, merong hindi. That's, that's about it po. I cannot give more details kasi nga po this part also of the issue between Transco and GCP.
Mr.
and
Chair, may I be allowed to say something?
Nung ang Transco po ang humahawak pa ng ating transmission, can you honestly say that transmission cost is cheaper?
Mr. Chair, I think they are not directly comparable in that sense kasi po ngayon, ang denominator po sa transmission cost is the demand
Madam,
for energy. So kung
This committee will be the one to judge whether it is comparable or not.
in terms of
You just have to answer my
numerical
question.
number, I believe nasa mga 6, yung 45 centavos ngayon, before was maybe at 60 centavos if I'm not
Di
mistaken.
mas mataas kayo, di ba, ma'am? Okay. During your time, can you safely say that there are fewer brownouts as compared today when NGCP is the one handling the transmission?
I
Mas
cannot
marami
recall
po kayong brownout, ma'am. Ako nasasagot.
wala
sa inyo.
pong ng records.
ERC, ma'am. If we will have more connections that will become, or if we will have more communities that will become contestable markets, we will have the chance of lower electricity. Correct?
Tama po, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Ibig sabihin natin, palalaganapin natin yung retail competition and open access para
Tama po.
bumaba po. Nandun po.
Apo.
If aggregations is maximized in communities, electricity will be further reduced.
Tama
Yes,
po,
ma'am.
Mr. Chair.
If we remove the 12% VAT in electricity, we can lower electricity further. Tama, ma'am.
Immediately, Mr. Chair.
Immediately and significantly. If we remove the excise tax in fuel, which feed the generation system, especially the backload, we will certainly lower our electricity, madam. Tama. DOE. Yes, ma'am. Madam DOE, considering ang ating pong mga fuel ngayon are more or less imported, yung pong nagme-maintain ng ating baseload, coal and petroleum, hindi natin mapapababa ang kuryente. LNG is also imported. Tama po?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Last 1 minute of your 3-minute extension. Because we gave you the 3 minutes because you're the senior citizen.
Madam DOE representative, if we remove the cross-ownership provision in the EPIRA, we can rationalize better the price of electricity eventually. Kasi Mapipilitan silang bumili dun sa hindi nila kamag-anak, kung hindi nila kaibigan. Tama, ma'am? Nakakatulong.
The cross-ownership prohibition.
Where the distributor kasi, part owner siya nung generation, kaya napipilitan doon sa bibili kahit mahal yun eh. Pero kung walang cross-ownership, at palalaganapin natin yung competitive selection process as if it is open and public, bababa ang kuryente, ma'am. I assume. Oh, yes daw, Mr. Chair. Philippine Competition Commission.
Last question.
Yes, yes, sir. Kasi po, ma'am, baka akala nyo hindi kayo kasali rito eh. Is NGCP violating any anti-competition or market behavior or whatever?
Mr. Chair po, with regards to having a single franchise owner, we note naman po that that is not uncommon in the energy transmission. But for markets like this where you have a single franchise owner, strict compliance po with regulation is key for that.
Parang hindi mo sinagot, ma'am eh.
Thank you.
Baka gusto mong, walang violation, di ba?
Mr. Chair, I'm not privy to any violations.
Okay.
B.
Mr. Chair.
You're the OIC for liaison.
Legislative liaison.
That's your position?
Yes po.
Asan yung boss mo?
Due to recent personnel movements po, ako po talaga yung for
On the next
today.
hearing, we will call for your boss on this particular issue. Thank you very much, Honorable Marcoleta, for your extension, which is given only to senior citizens. Honorable Mikey Romero, are you a senior citizen? You're not, right? So you only have 5 minutes, okay? Klaro to, 5 minutes ka lang.
Baka I need that. So anyway,
Honorable Mikey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. I just have 2 issues to settle in this committee. The first one being a question to Transco. What led to the transfer of Transco to NGCP?
Good afternoon, Mr.
Please
Chair.
reply to the question of Honorable Marcoleta.
Mr. Chair,
Honorable
if I may
Mikey
be
Romero.
allowed to answer. Mr. Chair, it is provided in the EPIRA that the asset, the transmission asset, will be given to a private concessionaire. Nasa EPIRA po yun.
So very clear sa EPIRA na we need to bid this transmission grid, no? Very clear yan. So sino ang nagpabid nito?
Government po ang nagpabid
No, which agency?
through PISAM po.
Yes, no. So can we I just want to understand yung bidding process at that time, which is 2007. And maybe I can ask Pisam if you can go through or walk us through what happened.
Mr. Chair.
What is the basis also for giving that concession to NGCP or the Monte Oro Consortium at that time?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Congressman,
Please reply.
with regards to the question on the privatization, this is with regards also to the mandate of PISAM to privatize the assets of Napocor, which at that time included also the transmission business. The privatization plan was approved by the JCPC, the JCEC now, and as proposed also to the President at that time, the President of the Republic at that time. So the privatization of the transmission business went through a series of failed biddings, 3 in fact, and finally PISAM was able to privatize through open and competitive bidding the transmission business with 2 participants in the form of Monte Oro, Grid Resources, and San Miguel Corporation, Mr. Chair. Now, as to the bidding parameters, it's always a competitive bidding subject to specific qualifications on the financial and technical qualifications as set by PISAM at that time, Mr. Chair. If I remember, it also followed the qualifications as required by EPIRA that the technical expertise of the potential bidder must be able to be comparable to us, the transmission business in the Philippines, Mr. Chair.
So who are the technical expertise partner of these two consortiums?
Mr. Chair, for San Miguel, I'm aware that it was Tenaga Nacional. I think it's a Malaysian company. And for Montoro, it's State Grid of China, Mr. Chair.
So at the time, no Filipino company has that technical capability. Is that correct?
The expertise in the transmission business, as specifically stated by EPIRA, no, Mr. Chair, because the expertise in the transmission business was in the form of Transco, and it's not being privatized. It's the concessionaire or the future operator of the transmission business.
So that's why in the terms of reference of your bidding, you required a technical expertise coming from another country. Is that correct?
Based on the, Mr. Chair, based on the requirements, Mr. Chair, the natural technical experts would be coming outside of the country, Mr. Chair.
So did they violate at this point in time and the terms of reference that you have? Did NGCP violate any of your bidding procedures at the time?
At that time. Mr. Chair, no. The proof is that we entered into a concession agreement with them. And sorry, I'll step back, Mr. Chair. Now, once we go through a competitive bidding process, there's the bidding process itself, then a post-qualification, wherein we post-qualify the winning bidder based on their financial and technical. And the proof is now that we actually have an existing concession agreement with NGCP, and which is a result of my assumption that they passed the financial and technical qualifications at that time, Mr. Chair.
Yes, no. So this was 2007, and up to now, the NGCP was proclaimed the winning bidder by 3 Republic Acts. Republic Act 9136, the EPIRA law, which according to Transco, allowed them to allowed the bidding process. Of course, the 9184, which the procurement law, which allowed technical partners such as Chinese or Malaysia, no, to be their partners, and the NGC franchise or the Republic Act 9511, which granted the NGCP's franchise. Now, I'm just curious if which of these laws did we violate or did NGCP violate?
Please reply.
For at least for on the PISAM side of the issue, Mr. Chair, we have the concession agreement, and we try to continue to implement the concession agreement despite certain non-compliances that we found, and that's why we have actually an arbitration proceedings with NGCP.
So very clear, no violation at that time of the bidding.
At the time of the bidding, Mr. Chair, for sure we entered into a CA with them, a concession agreement, and
it was
they passed
NGCP who proclaimed the winning bidder plus the Chinese technical partner.
As the technical partner.
Correct.
Mr. Chair, yes.
Thank you. No.
Mr. Chair.
DOE.
Sir, I just wanted to,
Yes, please.
if you allow, Mr. Chair.
Please.
There are 2 important documents. Now, there's the concession agreement